Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the 10-Minute Mailbag, and happy Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope the Weekend Classic is going swimmingly for you. You'll see content later this week on this channel from the Weekend Classic. One game very good, one game very shit. But we upload on this channel no matter what happens in the game, so that's future stuff. Right now, it's the 10-Minute Mailbag. 10-Minute Mailbag is where I take your questions from YouTube and this week, all Discord, and we talk about them. So let's get into it. The YouTube was pretty quiet in last week's video, and actually I don't mean quiet in terms of lack of comments. There were plenty of comments. Quiet in terms of actual questions for this week. So my prompt to you is, can you please ask me questions? Put questions down below in the YouTube chat. Put questions in the Discord. If you want to be featured in next week's video, or the chance to be featured in next week's video, make it happen. I cannot do this series without you guys, the loyal community that we have built. So either way, Discord came through this week. I am pulling up my stopwatch, because it's 10 minutes on the clock, and we answer those questions. So, 3, 2, 1, begin. First question comes from Straw0125. How many at-bats do you give a person before you say it just isn't working? I just put Rollins, Posada, and Willie Castro in my lineup, and I'm batting under 100 with Rollins and Posada and around 250 with Castro. Caveat is that I moved to Legend in Weekend Classic, and most of these at-bats have been on Legend. But do I go back to what works, or do I keep giving them another chance? It's a very good question. And it's a problem we all face. Every single person in this community sees a card, likes the card, sucks with the card at some point. So it's a great question. I will say, being that you moved up to Legend, and you said you moved up to Legend on accident, so you're not super familiar with Legend, I would chalk up some of your struggles to Legend. But to answer your original question, how many at-bats do you give a person? I don't know if there's a hard and fast number I go by. I just go very much by feel. So, there are also some other circumstances, like we're going to talk about right now. So, this 93 Willie Castro card, when it came out, it was the best card in the game. Or up there, top 3 card in the game. It was incredible. It still is honestly really good. In 89 at-bats, 92 plate appearances, got up to 326. That's because I used him in an event on All-Star. I was hitting under 250 with this card in ranked. I played 90-something% of my ranked games on Hall of Fame. I, like you, try not to get into Legend. Because I stop when I get close. Stop playing ranked. Because I don't like Legend. I don't think it's fun. I'd prefer to, be competent at the game. So, this Willie, I eventually ditched. But the reason he got such a long runway is because I was playing him at second base, even though it was out of position, yada, yada, yada. A lot of people were. Second base was a tough position to find for a little bit. So sometimes positional scarcity is part of the calculation. I would say give a guy 3, 4, 5 games if you have the luxury of doing so. You do need to give yourself a chance to figure it out. In the Weekend Classic, that's likely not where I'm testing new guys, because it is intended to be competitive. I'm going to be using the swings I know I like. I also have, and you might as well, I don't know how long you've been playing, but if you're good at the game, I'm sure you've been playing for a little bit. I have the luxury of knowing how just about all these swings work, because I've played this game for so long. Unless they make swing tweaks, and then it's, you got to explore that. So, there are guys, actually, here's a great example. For some reason, I still cannot explain it to you. I'm hitting 260 and 50 at-bats with this Ketel Marte. This Ketel Marte is still remarkable. I cannot hit with this card. Ketel's got one of the best swings in the game. I cannot do it. I also got very frustrated because even though he's a primary second baseman with 85 fielding, he might be the worst fielding second baseman I've ever used, so I ditched him. But this was a card I was excited for, paid a lot of stubs for, was like, yes, he's awesome, and he stunk, so I moved on. Sometimes, even though you put the investment in, you gotta move on. So I would say, generally speaking, give a guy 4 or 5 games, feel it out, move him around in the lineup. Maybe it's a function of, the matchups you're receiving aren't great. Like, maybe a guy who hits lefties well should be hitting between 2 lefties, so when a reliever comes in, they get better at-bats. Just a theory, just things you can try. I'm not someone who moves on. I'm not someone, I should say, who gives too much of a runway in most cases. Because hitting is not my strength. Pitching is my strength. So if someone's stinking, I'm moving on because I don't have the luxury of outslugging every opponent I play. But that's just me. So give a guy a few games. Give a guy another chance. I mean, we're at the point in the game cycle now, too. We've got 99s aplenty. Not at every position, obviously. But there's 13 pages of 99s in the game right now. You've got options, I promise you. So switch it up. But thank you for your questions. Very thoughtful question. Next up. Here we go. From The Astonishing. Do you think that any card that is on the marketplace should be eligible to be pulled in standard packs? This is a very interesting question. I'm going to say no. I think World Series cards and Battle Royale cards should stay exclusive to unlocking them or purchasing them with lots of stubs. We should not be able to pull them out of packs. Pulling them out of packs, even though it would be astronomical odds, would bring their value down to a point where it's almost not worth going flawless or making World Series. Now, the other side of this is BR rewards and World Series rewards have largely sucked this year. But if we were living in a perfect society, a utopia, and those rewards were both good and difficult to achieve, then I would not want them in packs. I understand where you're coming from, for sure, but the other issue we need to address, and SDS has already tried to fix it, but it's still not perfect. Adding more diamond cards to standard packs that are not live series lessens your chance of pulling the high live series cards, which is why they got, or one of the many reasons, why they got so expensive this year. Like, they're finally down at a semi-reasonable area, like 360, 370. Still not great. They were at a point where they were 500,000 and 600,000 stubs, the top cards. So I think SDS had good intent behind putting more types of cards in standard packs. The goal was to lower the threshold for some of these collections and these specialty packs they were doing, but the unintended consequence, or maybe the intended consequence, I don't know, was that live series became exceptionally expensive, and still is. Still is. It has not come down as much as you'd hope, especially by August, man. Usually you could achieve it pretty easily by August, September. So, no, I don't think every card on the marketplace should be pulled out of packs. I do think more cards should be available on the marketplace, just to kind of change your question up a little bit. Like, the mini seasons cards should be sellable, and I should be able to buy Johan Santana off the market if I don't want to play the mini season. Things like that. That doesn't address your pack question, but it talks about the marketplace. So that's where I'm at. I'm curious your guys' thoughts on this topic. It's definitely not a contentious one, but it's a popular topic to talk about for sure. And I think what's going to be our last question today comes from Lucius 75. I think it's Lucius. I don't know. Anyone ever wonder why Willie Castro has the attributes that he has? His real life stats come nowhere close to those type of attributes. Yeah. So this is where, this is why I always laugh when SDS folks claim that MLB The Show is a real life baseball simulator. How can it be? This is not Willie Castro, but I don't care because I don't play this game for realism. I play this game for fantasy reality. SDS does a very good job of understanding which players the player base loves the most, loves to use. Sometimes it is so simple as just checking out how many people have P5'd a card, but also it comes from like social listening and knowing what the talk is in the community. Willie Castro is a fan favorite swing. He is. I mean, I've had my moments with him. This card for me this year I can't figure it out. I think it's his low vision. Vision has really impacted me this year. SDS does a very good job of listening to their community in terms of which cards they like to use. Do they exploit that sometimes? Yes. Like Willie Castro being first a chase pack and then a collection reward as one of the better cards in the game, both times. This is another topic that gets semi-contentious, right? Like, there are people like me who don't care a ton about the realism. I have an outfield that has Ted Williams and Carlos Beltran in it. They've never played together before. And Biz Mackey's the best card anybody's ever seen. And then there's the people who, like, want Ted Williams to be Ted Williams and Willie Castro to look like Willie Castro. That is not what Diamond Dynasty is for in its current construction. You know, if you want to have the ability to play a franchise where Ted Williams is Ted Williams and Willie Castro is Willie Castro and it's real life reflective, that's sweet. That's cool. That's neato. That's not how this game works. This game, at the end of the day, with the way it's structured, and I think with the way SDS wants it to work, is that once we get to the 99s level, which we're at, a lot of the attributes are going to start looking very similar card to card. Like, not 100% the same, because everybody does have different skills, but, like, similar enough. The goal being to create so many options for you to use at any position that you can just pick the swings you like and not feel pigeonholed into using a guy with max attributes who you might dislike. I think that's the goal, and I actually think that's a very healthy thing to do. I'm fine with giving everybody a 99 at some point within reason, because it provides options and it provides roster diversity. Two things that historically have really, really hurt MLB The Show titles. So yes, this is a fantasy land that Willie Castro looks like this. However, I'm fine with it. We went pretty long on this one, chat, so you're welcome. You're welcome. I got on this topic. I like having conversations like this. I like doing the thinking beyond the thinking. I like trying to see where they're coming from or trying to analyze where they're coming from. I am okay with cards that are Looney Tunes. It doesn't bother me. I don't play Diamond Dynasty for realism. If I wanted realism, I would play a franchise. And that's okay. That's why there are multiple game modes, honestly. So this has been the 10-minute mailbag. Thank you all for making it to the end, as usual. Thank you all for, being up in the comments and up in the Discord. Our Discord is popping every day. It's popping and growing every day. So make sure you come and join. But leave your questions down below. What do you want to talk about next week? What do you need me to answer? All right. Love you guys. Stay tuned for all the content this week. I'll see you next time.